All right, welcome to Shooting Hoops in the Boot. We are back once again on Sunday night. This time we recorded last Saturday, so we're going to have some great things to talk about, guys. It's been a busy week. We got a busy 2 weeks coming. It's getting ready to district time. We'll touch on districts a little bit later in the broadcast. Got Charlie Duckworth and Chris Brown with us. Charlie, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Just living life. I'm waiting for this Friday. I gotta walk on a court for the first time. Cotton Blossom.
There you go.
Yeah,
Cotton
big
Blossom.
dog.
That's always something special in Crowsville there. Chris
Yeah.
Brown, how you doing, buddy?
Man, it's been a lazy day around here at the Brown House today after that busy week of Tri County Conference tournament. Can't wait to talk about that. I've seen a lot of good games.
Yes. Great conference tournament, and thanks to Hawcom for their great hospitality as well, man. Matt Casper hooked us up there. All right, let's get into it, guys. Last Saturday, of course, we recorded. We had the Super Bowl on Sunday, so game that we didn't get to talk about, Woodland and Van Buren in a track meet, guys. Woodland won this one 99-90. I was able to watch that, and really no defense. It was all offense up and down the court, and Woodland was able to survive over the Bulldogs 99-90. Charlie, you got any thoughts on that one?
I mean, it shows that Woodland is there to compete no matter who it is. Obviously, I know Van Buren's a class below Woodland, but they're still very equal competitors, both of them. It's just I think Woodland came out as a better team in that one. They fed off of the crowd that they brought, and just overall played a more complete game than Van Buren did.
For me, Woodland, yeah, they did beat Van Buren and all like that. But, when we get to talk about our top tens, mine will be looking a little bit funny because, the Charleston Blue Jays, hey, we're going to have to talk about them because they beat Woodland a little after that. That's right. So,
yeah. Speaking of those Charleston Blue Jays, they beat Hazelwood Central in that shootout, 75-54. But another game I want to talk about, guys, is probably one of the hottest teams in the area right now. That's New Madrid County Central. They beat Bernie 52-36, and we'll talk about Bernie a little bit further down the road here. But, man, New Madrid's got on a little hot streak till the other night. But here they come, fellas. And when do you want to be playing your best basketball? And that's come district time.
Yeah, absolutely. New Madrid, I don't know what's happened with them, really. They just started winning and winning and winning. They beat Crothersville, and then they beat Malden over the weekend. That's two district opponents right there. They have made a charge to be that one seed in district.
Yeah, they, I know their record, 9-13 is their record. They lost to Jackson, but they have beaten. Of course, they beat Cooter before we went on the air, but they beat Cooter, Bernie, Crothersville, and Malden. 4 in a row there. So
they beat South Bend the other night, right?
I think. Did they?
I don't see it on Misha, but
let's see. They got wins over Cooter and Bernie. Okay,
yeah, and Crothersville and Malden as well. Those were close games, but hey, the Eagles, they flying right now.
Yes, they are. It was Charleston that beat South Penn. That's who it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, Charleston beat South Penn last week.
It's going to be an interesting district. As Charlie said, those district seedings do not come out till Thursday, well, the other districts have been seeded, so that's going to be interesting. See what that Ozark Foothills started their tournament on Saturday. We had Donovan over Naylor. No surprise there. East Carter over Neelyville. The surprise team, Greenville, as they beat Twin Rivers Saturday 51-47, and then Puxico was all over Clearwater. And end up championship game, Greenville and Puxico in the Ozark Foothills, and Puxico squeaked by the Greenville Bears. Any thoughts on that tournament, guys?
Puxico, once again, winning another conference. I know that they won the Ozark Foothills last year as well. I think that this is their second year in that conference. It gets a little murky whenever you're in two conferences. I don't really get it.
LC7 used to be the same way.
But, for Greenville, it's as much of a moral victory as you possibly can have. You know, I mean, you just went all the way to the finals of this conference tournament and almost beat a state-ranked team in that game.
Yeah, you know that Greenville. I couldn't imagine how their faithful was, in that ball game. Puxico, all the pressure on them, probably thought they were going to come in there and win it easy. But hey, we're at the time of year, guys. You just don't never know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Teams have got players that have moved up and are helping them out tremendously. So you never know. Just moving one player up can make a great decision, turn into a good coach decision, win you some ball games. All right, now where we were all week, the Tri-County Conference Tournament, fabulous tournament. Of course, the smaller schools always get together. This year they were at Holcomb, the Hornets' Nest. Chris Brown, you got a lot of information on that, so let's start off with the Tri-County Conference Tournament.
Yeah, we'll start off on the JV side. First of all, being an old Bootheel Conference guy, I didn't know a whole lot about Tri-County. I mean, of course, I probably knew who the teams are, but I left out of there. We walked in there on Monday, Mark, with 4 games, and I tell you what, me and Charlie and Travion, we walked out of there Thursday. But I got a whole new level of respect for the Tri-County Conference. I seen some ballers in that whole tournament. We'll talk, quickly about the JV. They only had 4 teams. They started off Delta C7 and Holcomb Delta C7 was a 2 seed. Holcomb was a 3. And Holcomb come out on their home court and they had a whole lot more balanced scoring. They ended up winning that game 57-32 in what you could call maybe a mild upset. But they had a strong supporting cast. Mateo Martinez, sophomore for Holcomb, really impressed me. He had 19 points, probably 10 rebounds in that first game. Eric Aguare, another sophomore for Holcomb, done a great job. He had 14 points. Delta C7 just had, Jordan Cannon probably had the game of his life with 19, 4 or 5 steals, but they just couldn't get the supporting cast around him. So in that game, Holcomb JV moved on, and then we had the other semifinal, which was Cooter and Risco. Cooter the 1 seed, Risco the 4 seed. Cooter come in pretty thin in that game, guys. They only had, I think they only really played 5. They had 6 dressing out, but they ended up winning this thing 56-48. It was a good game. Connor Tate, I'm sorry, let me back up. Tucker Rayburn for Cooter, the big man down low. Mark, I know you've seen him play this year.
Yeah.
He had 21, and he knocked down some big free throws down the stretch. He had 9 points in the fourth quarter as Risco JV kept it close. Like I say, Cooter did move on to play Holcomb, but one point of note for Risco JV, they have a young man named Holden Tedlock that we found out he knocked down 5 threes in the third and fourth quarter to try to keep Risco in that thing. But that was his first action all year, and I couldn't believe it as we were sitting, beside Risco fans, and they were kind of filling us in. So, congratulations to him and Abel Hickerson for Risco JV. Want to give a shout out to him as well, as he had a big game. But like I say, Cooter moved on, and then we were in for the big championship. Charlie and Travion had to call on this one. Number 1 seed Cooter against the number 3 seed Holcomb JV. Holcomb JV, they had the home court, and they ended up winning it 39-30. And Charlie, I know me and you talked about the game and how Holcomb slowed the pace down, and they slowed that pace down. I think that was a big key for them. They got a big game by a sophomore named Gavin Lloyd. Didn't do much in the first game, but he had a big-time game for the championship. Aguare as well. He had 11. Mateo Martinez, who was the big guy for them, he didn't have but 2 points, but he had a lot of rebounds. And I've learned that rebounding is going to win you games. And so congratulations to Holcomb JV as they win as a 3 seed over Cooter 39-30. In what could be, by not Holcomb, but everybody else, probably one of the ugliest games I've seen was being slowed down. Charlie, I know you were there. Give us a little bit of thoughts on that championship call you had with Travion.
Yeah, me and Travion came in and we saw. I looked up on Michelle. I was like, Cooter and Hockham played, and Hockham only scored 24. Cooter scored 68. And then in my head, and then I'm talking to Travion. I'm like, well, Cooter probably did call up a couple people off of that JV. You got to think. And he's like, yeah, but I still can't think that it's gonna be a real close one. But Hockham just flat out. I mean, they were agents of chaos that whole game. They had multiple times where they held onto a ball for a 2-3 minute possession in that one. At the end of the second half, or at the end of the first half, at the start of the third quarter, they just held onto the ball, and Cooter would try to stop them, and then Hockham would catch a big break, somehow get a pass that cuts through 3 different people somehow and gets to the corner where no one's guarding someone and they're just holding the ball. And I felt like that Cooter just played with their stars more. They played with their best. I mean, at halftime, they had 3 scores, and then Hockham had 6 scores in that game. I mean, that's a testament right there to how much Hockham was just able to spread the ball out inch by inch, while Cooter kind of just relied on Connor Tate, on Tucker Rayburn, on Austin Odom, and then Remy Blagg in that second half as well. I believe came in, scored some for Cooter, but I mean Hockham just had it out of reach at some point.
Yeah. Aguirre, man, he's a shooter. I was impressed with him. Martinez there, number 33. Great job, and of course a great job by the big man Lloyd in the middle. And let's go ahead and talk about the JV All Tournament team here. Let me find it. Yeah, there it is. Chris, you want to elaborate a little bit on this all tournament team? We had Hockham, Eric Aguirre, Mateo Martinez, Gavin Lloyd, and Owen Little for the Hornets.
Yeah, like I say, things are looking up for Hockham. They got to be proud for them. I'll be honest, I didn't expect them to beat Cooter in the JV contest, but they surprised me. Like I say, they slowed the game down and done what they wanted to do. And I know they had Coach Mathis and Coach Watkins over there frustrated, as it seemed like not every call, but the ball bounced their way every time you turn around, and that could be a little part of that home cooking. But them boys there, they some good fellas. They got a good team there and a good future in Hockham. Mark.
Yeah, most definitely. Charlie, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of Chris there, Hockham is a scary team upcoming in the Tri-County Conference. They, when you think of the varsity side of the bracket, you think of Cooter and Risco because they've dominated this decade as a whole in the Tri-County. But Hockham is about to be able to build a name for themselves in these next 2 years with these guys. Especially these 4 that are on this all-tournament team are all dogs in their own way. They're able to shoot a 3, be able to get some nice defense out there, be able to get some steals. And, I mean, the 4 for Cooter that played that we saw, Tate, Rayburn, Blagg, and Odom, those 3, Tate, Rayburn, and Odom, were able to score in that first half, and then you could kind of see Cooter struggle without Remy Blagg's output in that first half. They were kind of lost for a sec without him scoring in that first half. But, I mean, it's just a testament to how good of a player he is as well.
Yeah, and you talked about Odom didn't get to play, but the championship game. So he'd been sick and probably wasn't 100% in that game. So what could have been for the Wildcats?
Yeah, but plus, let's talk about WC7 and Risco. Jordan Cannon, he's just a scorer. It looks like he's going to be the one that's going to have the scoring on his shoulders, in the next couple of years. And Landon Kilbreth, he impressed me because he got a ton of rebounds. I just love rebounds. And he done a good job there. And then Abel Hickerson for Risco. Of course, Tadlock, had that one game, really good. But Hickerson's going to be a player for Coach Brandon Blankenship coming up in the near future for them Risco Tigers, that's for sure.
All right, and then we had our most outstanding player. We gave it to Mr. Gavin Lloyd of Hockham, Chris. Outstanding numbers.
That's right. He's just a dog, is what we say down here, and he just gets after it. His motor's always going. Always love to see that. The kid never took a play off. Seemed like he wanted it. And what a leader of a good team he was. So congratulations to Mr. Gavin Lloyd from the Holcomb Hornets. Outstanding player, Bootheel Sports Network.
Yes. Great job, young man. All right, now we're going to move on to the varsity side of things. Let me get that bracket pulled up here. There we go, varsity bracket. We had Risco and North Pembroke kicked off today. I had that game. It was an early start at 3:30, and Risco just showed why they were number one seed. Even without Eli Rogers, it didn't matter in this game, Chris.
That's right. They had 4 players in double figures, and if Will Bunting would have had 2 more, he'd have been the 5th. It's just way too much Risco in this one. You got to applaud Timmy Lehman for the North Pembroke Mustangs. He had 16, just didn't have much supporting help around him. So, really much ado about nothing in this game here is Risco flexed their muscles and they moved on to the semi mark.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah, that was the Clarkton Gideon game, which I believe you had to call for that one. That 4 versus 5 was an awesome game.
Yes, Clarkton ended up winning that one 70-60. I was impressed with Mauricio Jones. I believe he's the freshman. He had 18 in that contest. He had about 11 in the second half. And it was a close game. I think, actually Gideon led by 3 at halftime in that game. But like I say, Jones, and then you had Isaac Mendoza as well. He knocked down a couple threes in that third quarter. He ended with 15. Other than Hayden Cornett for Gideon, he had 14. But Landon Weaver for the Gideon team, he had 29 big points. But once again, he didn't have much support around him. And Clarkton, 9-10 record, they come in and they move on as they got to play that Risco team at 7:00, on Tuesday. And then that leaves us down with Cooter and Holcomb, who was the 2 and 7 game. And, this one was actually Holcomb led this one at halftime, 29-24. And I was thinking in my head, looky here we go. Holcomb plays well on their floor, guys. I mean, I was just impressed with how they did. But in the end, it's just too much Cooter, too much Jaden Mathis, too much Jaden McIlvain, as we're going to talk about them two young men. But Jaden Mathis, what a game. He had 27. McIlvain had 10. And I can't not talk about Mr. Robinson for the sophomore for Coach David Mathis. He only had 11. Well, I say only. He had 11 points. But man, about 7-8 rebounds. He had 3 or 4 assists, couple blocks. Seemed like he was in where the ball was. He was. And Cooter ends up moving on 62-42. They run away with it in the second half, guys.
No, he's a move-in, Chris. I'm just wondering if he didn't get a NIL deal from Nutrient Ag down there from James Lynn and the crew.
Well, there's some cotton money down there in Cooter, so you don't never know.
That's right. He played a good game, man. And Cooter had some players out as well, man. Had fighting the flu all week on their JV and varsity level. So, but they brought a small group there and won that one and moved on to the semifinal. Then we had Del C7 and Southland, Chris. This was our first upset of the tournament, really, in the varsity side of things. And the Southland Rebels and Delta C7, I just played the week before. Delta C7 beat them, and then Southland got a little revenge when it counted the most.
That's right. They won 68-64. This was our last game on Monday. And it was just close throughout. It actually went to overtime. Ended up being tied at 61 at the end of regulation. Southland just had a little bit more in that overtime frame as they outscored Delta C 6-3. But what a ball game this was, and it was a good one to close out the night. Braylon Cox, the senior for Southland, he showed out in a big way. He had 23. Camden Washington had 17, and Elijah Finkbeiner, which I had pronounced his name on the air wrong, and
Mom and Dad let us know too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did let us know, but hey, there wasn't no disguising his play, as he had a great game of 17 points, and helped that Southland number 6 seed over the 3 seed Delta C7. Tim Hamilton for Delta C7 had 18 points. I know that, and Michael Rose had 16. I know CJ Wallace is their scorer. This seemed like he was frustrated. Shots wasn't going. He had a few fouls. He had to sit some, Mark. He ended up with 13, and he had 8 in the fourth quarter and overtime, but it just was not enough. As give it to Coach Washington, Tyree Washington, and the Southland Rebels as they move on in the semifinal against, they'll have to play Cooter. So that was the first night. Mark, any more thoughts on that first day?
No, it was a great day. Great games. 3 out of the 4 were good, man. I mean, even though the final score of Cooter and Hockham kind of doesn't reflect that, that was a great game up until late in the fourth quarter. And like you said, just too much Mathis and too much McIlvain. Those kids are special, man. And Mathis just a sophomore, so we get to see him a lot more of him in the next 2 years. And McIlvain, which we'll talk about, he ended up getting 1,000 career points in that tournament as well. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But that moves us on to the semifinals, Chris. Risco and then the Clarkton Reindeer, man, and they gave Risco all they wanted in that game.
Clarkton is young, Mark and
Yes.
Charlie, and you can't be, if you're a Reindeer fan, you can't be more excited than right now and next year, because you got Justin Castro, who had 16, he's a freshman. Isaac Mendoza, who's a freshman, with 12 in that game. You had Sergio Juarez, another freshman, who had 8. Braxton Cowart, sophomore. What can you say about a team that young that gives, the number 1 seed Risco Tigers all they wanted? Even without Eli Rogers, you still had 4 dogs for Risco going in that game. But Braden Cartiller, man, we got to talk about him because, he lit it up from 3. He had 5 3-pointers. He ended up with 25 points. And Owen Fortner as well. Those 2 guys, give me either one of them guys on any team in the Bootheel, because they can play and they can score. They know what they're doing. And, Risco, I kind of want to say squeaked by. They ended up winning by 15, but it seemed like it was a little closer than that. But, congratulations to Clarkton and Coach Cole McBroom. Bright future there ahead in Clarkton, that's for sure, Mark.
Yeah, and just think they had Redden, who's been out all year. So
that's right.
Yeah, we get him back, man. They're really going to be special. And then that set up the other semifinal, Cooter and Southland, and what a game that turned out to be, Chris.
Yeah, Southland. They said they weren't done wearing that glass slipper.
That's right.
They come in, and I figured that Cooter would probably slow them down, slow their momentum down and take this one handily. But they won 68-56. It's an 8-point win. But Southland, man, they got some players too. But it was just in the end, it was too much Jaden McIlvain, as he had 29 in that game. Jaden Mathis didn't really have a great game in this one. But, Hunter Sams come up big in this semifinal for Coach Mathis. He had 12 points. But, congratulations to Southland. They're a little young as well. They only had a couple seniors in Finkbeiner and Noah Beal and Braylon Cox, but they got a good roster. But Cooter moves on 68-56, and that'll set us up for the championship that everyone probably thought that's how it was going to be, and ended up being Risco and Cooter, Mark.
Yeah, and Wildcats got some people back for that championship game as well. But Risco was still down Eli Rogers, so it was kind of evened out for him, I thought. And then, of course, Cooter took it all. And, Chris, you got the stats on that championship game. Charlie, you were there for the call as well.
Yeah. I mean, the first game, Risco beat Cooter when they played each other earlier this year in Cooter. And I sat there, and I looked at that score, and I went, well, they did have a couple players out. But how much of an impact could that have made? Well, it made a whole big impact. That's what it did. because they flat out dominated Risco in this one. Eli Rogers obviously does not play most of the game. He tried to play in that second quarter for about a minute and a half, and then I don't think we saw him for the rest of the game. And it was just Cooter got hot early. They got hot, and Risco never really withstood it. It's kind of like in a boxing fight when you get punched in the face in the first round and you're already punch drunk and you don't really know what to do. That's what this was. I mean, Risco was just stumbling into that fourth quarter. I mean, it was a 30-point lead at one point in this one. Cooter is a very, very impressive team, but you do have to ask the question, well, Eli Rogers plays and is fully healthy. What happens here? I'm not sure that it's a Risco victory at this point, but it was probably a closer game if Eli Rogers is fully healthy.
Yeah, and another thing, it was, me and Charlie's been around the old Bootheel Sports Network for a while, but it was actually our first time calling the game together, and it was a whole lot of fun. Me and Charlie had a lot of fun there, but it was almost like Jaden McIlvain and Jaden Mathis were playing each other because they just were back and forth. They didn't want. It's like one didn't want. I know they're teammates, but to me, it was like one didn't want the other to outdo the other. It was a lot of fun as they came out. It was all Cooter in this one. They came out hot. Didn't let Risco in this thing at all. I know they were minus Eli Rogers, but and I would be curious to know what Risco's 3-point shooting percentage was in that game. And me and Charlie talked about it a little bit on the air. They missed a ton of threes. A ton of threes. Them up. And they just couldn't get anything to fall. Jaden McIlvain, he needed 20 for 1,000. I believe he ended up getting that in the third quarter. And so, congratulations to Jaden McIlvain there. You see him with Coach David Mathis. I had him for 33 that night, and I had Mathis for 32. And like I say, once again, I got to give flowers to Mr. Robinson there because he did not have a single point, guys, but he was just as much a determining factor in this game. And I guarantee you, Coach Mathis and Coach Watkins will agree with me. Without him getting them rebounds and assists, he had blocks. He drew charges. He done it all in this game. I was just impressed with Cooter. And like I say, they had a 20-10 lead at the end of one, 39-26 at the end. They just had their foot on Risco's throat, wasn't going to let them breathe. And that's what you got to do. And so congratulations to the Cooter Wildcats, man. They won that one 84-68. Like I say, it really wasn't even that close. As Risco never really was in it other than at the tip-off. But, you got to think these two teams are going to see each other again in the districts, and we're going to talk about that coming up. But just congratulations to the Cooter Wildcats. They had a big fan showing. And, another thing, I want to congratulate both Cooter and Risco's fan bases because they both showed up in a big way. Me and Charlie talked about that some on the air too. Talk about that a little bit, Charlie, about the fan bases.
Yeah, I mean, the crowds got into it immediately. Yeah, you could tell because the Cooter faithful were already there. They watched that loss. They were kind of waiting for that varsity game, and Risco just started to pile in more and more. They both had their dedicated student sections in that one, and you could let's be real, you could tell the crowds were getting into it because there was a tech for taunting at the crowd in the second quarter.
Oh, really?
You could tell that it was getting into it pretty early, but I mean, flat out, both the Jadens, I played with them in football when we were younger in flag football, and you could tell that they had a high motor back then, and they still have a high motor now. Both of them were just everywhere in that game. They were able to hit threes, but they were also able to score inside on Risco. That's something that not a lot of players can really do fully, especially in this area. It's kind of like you're either one or the other at points.
Yeah, and Mark, like you said, before we move on, big congrats to Holcomb, or thank you to Holcomb for letting us come in and let people see in this thing, because like I say, I got a whole new respect for Tri-County Conference than I did before Monday when I first got there. They got some ballers in this tournament, and thank you to all the Holcomb staff, the ladies at the hospitality room.
Yes.
They had the game on. They had the Bootheel Sports Network on there in the hospitality room, and we thank them for that. But it was just a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, and I was just that's one thing I'll remember, and I appreciate being able to help cover that tournament for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the smallest gyms in the area, but man, that thing can get loud. I know Charlie wasn't there until championship night, but Cooter's first game, Charlie, they packed them in too as well. And when you got Risco and Cooter going at it, man, it's a great atmosphere, man, and two great small schools in our area. And we're just blessed to see great teams in our area. Now let's get on with the all tournament team here, guys. Starting off, we had Bryce McNabb out of Holcomb, Chris. Had some big games, man, and kept Holcomb in their games as well, man. I was very impressed with McNabb.
Yeah, he's the lone piece. You kind of, if you're a Gideon fan, you kind of wish there was a little bit something to go along with him. But that's how it is some years. But man, he done good, and also I want to give a shout out or as far as Gideon goes, he is a senior. What was we talking about? Holcomb, I'm sorry, Bryce McNabb. He's a senior, but he showed up in a big way. He just didn't have any help really much, and it ain't the Holcomb's not the only team that's going through that. But congratulations to him for sure.
Yeah, you go ahead and go on down the line there if you want to.
Yeah, and
talk about Landon Weaver.
Yeah, Landon Weaver from Gideon. Like I say, he's a senior as well. Didn't have a lot of help in this tournament. Of course, that's a couple of teams that only played once. As these conference tournaments are. So congratulations to him. And Timmy Lyman. I mentioned him earlier for North Pembescott as they had a rough one to open things up against a tough Risco team. We'll move on to Southland. Braylon Cox and Finkbeiner, proud of them guys. They hustled and they had a really good tournament. Risco's Owen Fortner and Braden Cartiller. Those two guys, you're going to be hearing more about them as districts come along, as they're going to help lead this Risco team. I kind of like to see Eli Rogers. Hope he gets healthy because it would make for a whole better district final, I believe, if he's in there. Delta C7, we'll move on to them. Tim Quarius Hamilton, like I say, he done a great job for the Chargers. It was just a frustrating semi for Delta C7. So congratulations to him. We'll go down to Clarkton as he got the two young guys, Castro and Mendoza. We're going to be talking about them in the future, that's for sure. As a few years come on, and then moving into Cooter. Man, what can you say about them three boys right there? Give me them three all day long. I'll take them because they all three got motors. And congratulations to McIlvain. Robinson, he's just a sophomore. He's going to be around a while, and Jaden Mathis too. Man, future looks bright there for Coach David Mathis, and don't think he don't know it. But congratulations to all the guys on the Tri-County All-Tournament team, Bootheel Sports Network.
Yeah, I like to piggyback off you that Castro and Mendoza, man. Mendoza made some big-time threes in this tournament, and, man, got a sweet stroke. And, of course, McIlvain and Mathis are just two kids that are special from beyond that arc, man. You get them past half court, they're in range. They got the green light from Coach Mathis, which makes it even better. And, man, just all around, this is a great all-tournament team, man. You don't even see one of the great ones on there, and that's C.J. Wallace, man. He just didn't have enough to cut the mustard for this team. And, man, they were loaded with talent. Charlie, you got any thoughts on the all-tournament team there, buddy?
I mean, this tournament team, I could stack them against a couple, I feel like, and it'd be a good game if you made like an all-tournament versus all-tournament all-star game.
That's a good idea.
Especially, think about it. All-star game after the end of the year had the Tri-County versus the Bootheel Conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fundraiser.
There you go. There you go.
Perfect. Yeah.
These Tri-County student athletes, like I say, I got a whole new respect for Tri-County Conference because, I always considered them a little bit under Bootheel Conference. But, man, I was impressed, and I won't never think that way again. I can tell you that much. They got, like I say, there's some great players, and all the Tri-County Conference teams. Congratulations to all of them. And like I say, thank you to Holcomb for the hospitality for letting us be there.
And it came down to the two Jadens as most outstanding player, and McIlvain's going to win it. He got career .1000. You see right there with his little sign, man, and congrats to him as well, man. He had to carry the team a little bit, him and Mathis, the first couple of games, man, without Rice Lynn being there for him. And then, Brooks stepped up in the tournament big time and had some big rebounds. So just all around great performance by the Cooter Wildcats, and congratulations to Coach David Mathis and his staff, along with Jaden McIlvain winning the most outstanding player there.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say you can't go wrong with Jaden McIlvain. And I was proud to see like all the support from Cooter. Pretty much all the fans and students knew where he was. They had the little signs out, and I always love to see that. And even to the Holcomb administration there, as they kind of, when there was a break and a timeout, they kind of announced that he had went over 1,000. And that's quite the accomplishment, guys. To get 1,000 points in your career. And so, I had no one more deserving than Jaden McIlvain for sure.
Yeah, but guess what? He's not the only one in the area. Let's bring it up. Ava Gurley from Holcomb, guys. We seen her up close and personal in that Bootheel Conference tournament. And she makes 1,000 points in her career the other night. So congratulations to her as well, man.
Before we move on, to chime in about Miss Gurley there, she's got athleticism in her blood because her whole family is, but I've seen her watched her play a little bit, and she's just the leader of that Holcomb Ball Club. And I think she's going to move on and I think play softball, if I'm not mistaken. Up north somewhere. But congratulations to her and her family. As Mark, you and I know a lot of her family, her dad and uncles as well. And so, just congratulations to her. She's worked hard for it and doesn't, and she deserves every bit of flowers she gets.
Yeah, absolutely. Good people the Gurleys are. Charlie, any thoughts on Ava Gurley? I know you got to see her play.
Yeah, me and Travion, actually, I did the first one. Me and Travion did the second one, but we saw her play. She's one of the best female shooters in the area, flat out. She can spark some threes from deep if Holcomb needs her to. It's just, she was the catalyst really for the Cinderella run they sort of made in the Bootheel Conference tournament a couple weeks ago. At this point, she's a very, very skilled player.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another thing too, Mark, when we was watching her in the Bootheel Conference, that I want to point out, Coach Hickson, John Hickson with the Lady Hornets, he can get pretty tough sometimes. And I watched her take, pretty much some criticism from him a couple different times. And I could tell that she's keyed in and she wants to play better. Her feelings were set aside. And that's impressive to me. One of the old school guys, because a lot of times you see these young athletes get ripped into a little bit. They take some plays off, but it's just her lineage, her bloodline. And so, congratulations to her. She's got a huge future ahead of her.
Right. All right, guys. Then we move on to the next one we're going to talk about is Parker Ernest out of Neelyville. We don't get to see a lot of her, but until district time, when they're always all up in our district. And she went over 2,000 career points. So congratulations to her. And then we got a few more. Let me get them in here. We couldn't pull all of the flyers up into our stream until we threw a few out. Kenzie Barton out of Bunker becomes their all-time leading scorer with 2,339 points, guys. That is a lot of buckets.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure her brother also has the Bunker scoring record, the men's record. I think I saw that.
Her cousin, I think so it was.
Her cousin.
Yeah, and somewhere in the bloodline.
What are they feeding that family? That's the real question. What are they feeding that family up there? Yeah, I mean, I understand there's a lot of basketball up there in Bunker, not a lot of wildlife to look at up there. It's mainly basketball, but it's still a very impressive stat. I mean, almost 2,400 in high school is unheard of.
Yeah, that's just crazy. And they still got more games to play, so she might get 2,400, Charlie.
Yeah.
Also, congratulations to the Scott City Rams as they pick up win number 1,000 of their high school basketball journey. So congratulations to them. They picked it up over Perryville 63-26. And I believe that's all the accomplishments I have. If I missed anybody, I apologize to you. All right, guys, let's get into the week that's coming up, and let's go ahead and talk about our top 10 from last week. Charlie, you want to bring that in? You got last week's top 10?
I have last week's top 10 in my files if we want to go there.
Yeah, bring that up. Let's bring
all
that
right.
up.
Because it ain't going to look the same.
No, it sure ain't, man. It's some big changes. And a lot of debate on our top 10 today.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
I might have to download it again. I might not have put it in my files.
I think I got it. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. But definitely a lot of discussion went into it today for sure.
This week is one of the weirdest weeks in Missouri.
So that's our top 10 last week, and let's look at those teams. What they did. Cooter came in at 19-4 because we know they just won the Tri-County Conference tournament. So we're pretty sure they'll probably end back up in there somewhere at 10 or 9. They got East Prairie and South Pim this week, guys. Should be interesting. South Pim's a rivalry game. So, and then Bernie was number 9 last week. Bernie went 3-1 this week, guys. So they got a chance to move up. Got Delta, Richland, and Notre Dame coming up. Had a big win over the Hayti Indians, man, and I mean a big win. Beat Hayti in a bad way. Hayti just couldn't get any shots to fall. They only scored 4 points in that second quarter of that game, guys. And we'll touch bases more on these games as we go later on. Number 8 was Delta, Chaffee at 7, Scott City was 6, Woodland at 5, Van Buren at 4, and Hayti at 3. Hayti had 2 losses this week, guys. They lost again Friday night. We'll touch on that a little bit. They got a big week coming up with Risco and Delta and Puxico. Puxico just keeps on winning, man. That's all they do is win, win, win. And then Bunker got beat this week, guys. So chance for them to fall off. All right, there we go. All right, guys. A few games. We'll jump back to Monday. We had East Prairie over. Delta beat East Prairie 80-54. The Bobcats, guys, a team that is in Class 1, District 2. Real exciting team. We're gonna get to see them play on the network Thursday night as they come to Hayti. Any thoughts on the Delta Bobcats? Anybody?
Delta's a weird team because they have some very impressive wins. Like they're one of those teams that I kind of struggled on where to put them this week. Because, Delta has some wins where you sit there and you go, well, that's impressive, right? And then they've lost 2 to Chaffee that were not that close. Or they lost that one to Chaffee that was by 15, and then they lost that one to Scott City, which was by 30. And they're a really weird team to rank. But they're a very quality team. And out of Class 1, District 2, they are, I believe, the 1 seed. And probably the favorite to win in that district as a whole.
Yeah. Next night we had Bunker getting their first loss, guys. They lost to Liberty Mountain View 59-58 in a nail biter. I know that's a game Danny Glass went to, and he said it was an exciting game there. And it's hard to believe Bunker is a little Class 1 team and been playing good. And Liberty, I believe, is a Class 3 team. Yeah.
They were number 10 in Class 3.
I just think Bunker hasn't been beat by anybody in their class. So that's quite the accomplishment there, man. And South Pim beat Oak Ridge during the week, 72-35. South Pim is 12-4 on the year that night, but later on they lost to be 12-5 to finish up the week. Charlie, a game that we didn't have, but Corrosville did play New Madrid County Central in a nail biter, folks, 63-62. You want to elaborate on this one, Charlie?
Yeah, it was one where the Tigers were winning, and then the bug struck them again. You can't close out. It was, I mean, they took a shot while up one. I believe they took a shot up one with about 15 seconds left. And for some reason, without just waiting to get fouled, and then New Madrid went down and scored at the end of the game. And that's one of those where you really have to sit there and reevaluate what happened in that one.
We had Woodland over Meadow Heights 96-54. I don't think that's any surprise. Guys, let's talk about the Charleston Blue Jays. They beat Leopold 78-54. Charleston is 12-9. They went 4-0 for the week. They beat Hazelwood Central, Leopold, South Pim, and then put a whooping on Woodland, man. Charlie, I know you watched a little bit of that Woodland-Charleston game. Give us a little feedback on that one.
Charleston just out-physicaled Woodland in that one. Woodland is a very good scoring team, but when they have to play a team that's kind of mano-a-mano with them, with just the ability to score, but also to get around on the court, too, it really messes them up. And that's what happened in this one. It kind of is what happened in the Bernie game earlier this year. Bernie played a Woodland pace in that one. They made Woodland have to play their own pace in a game they didn't expect to have to play that pace. And it was the opposite this time, where Charleston sped them up and Woodland just wasn't able to catch up in that one. I mean, it's a 99-77 loss, and it might be a loss that helps Woodland, but I'd say because their next game is Tuesday playing Puxico. So how much does a 22-point loss to Charleston help you playing a team from that same district that's a higher seed than them in that district?
We'll talk about class, the Class 2 District 3. That's the only district I know of where, I had three teams that could compete. And when now you can throw Charleston in there because, hey, they're back.
Yeah.
And they're, and that's kind of unheard of. 4 teams could win that district. But that's what you're going to be looking at in Class 2 District 3.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and talk about that Bernie team. I know we feel like they're a team we really don't know which Bernie team's going to show up, man. If they can shoot the three, they can beat anybody on any given night. But, of course, if their shots are just off, but they make you slow your game down. They was real effective on their defense and shooting as they just outplayed Hayti. Hayti a little shorthanded. Key Anthony Taylor out. Javante Payne out. But still yet, Hayti's got some great players. And really, Charlie, I know you and I talked about Bernie. Just can't figure them out.
Yeah, no, they are the weirdest team in the state of Missouri. I'll say that flat out. I compared them on a Duck Hoops on Wednesday to Iowa State because you don't know which Iowa State you're going to get. Iowa State beat Kansas by almost 20 yesterday, but they lost to TCU by almost 20 on Tuesday. You don't know which one you're going to get. Are you going to get a team that is a world beater, is a team that can make a run in Class 2 if they get out of their district? Or are you going to get a team that really can't hit a three or really just get a shot off against the team? It's really weird night and day because you look at it. Crothersville lost to Bernie by 1. They lost to Hayti by 5 or 6 and then 19 in that one. And then Hayti lost to Bernie by 22. And obviously injuries, but it's still one of the most confusing things out there, really.
Yeah, Coach Long, and Bernie fans may beg to differ with us as far as, they might have righted the ship as they beat 3 quality Bootheel Conference teams pretty easily.
That's right.
And that don't really happen in much less in the same week. They do got Delta coming up. But if you're a Bernie Mule fan, you got to be happy where you are right now. You really do.
Yeah, 3-1 for the week for the Bernie Mules. Chris, Portsville had a game against Richland. You got anything on that one? I know Richland won 51-47.
Well, no, we actually I don't have anything on the Richland game, but we did. We have won 2 in a row. We beat Southland and we also beat Scott County Central. I was at the Scott County Central game. There was homecoming Thursday night, I believe, or it might have been Friday. But that was an exciting game. We ended up winning at 55-53. Portersville, they as far as the whole homecoming thing, they really do it up. It was a neon themed homecoming, and congratulations to the homecoming queen, Miss Taryn Irby. We're going to be talking about her some more, as she's one of them stud basketball players for Coach Kelly Fowler. She was a homecoming queen, and Eli Wheeler, who I've discussed as on the football field, was the homecoming king. But it was just an area, it had some players, some of the girls basketball players dressed in neon wigs, and they had a little desk set up. And another thing too I want to mention is I've probably seen one of the best cheerleading routines that I've ever seen in my life. Coach Tabby Robbins does a great job with the cheerleaders there at Portersville. I know that their practice schedules are like weeks from hell, so to speak. But they really done a great job. They do a good job getting the crowd into it. Kind of reminded me of last year's district. But we'll take wins any way we can get it here at Portersville, as we're getting ready to head into district time, as we got one more week to go, guys. This will be it.
Yeah. Other games we've seen South Iron beat Eminence 70-41. The Chaffee Red Devils, we've seen them beat Zelma 105-70. They also beat the Cena Thornsville Lions on a matinee, guys. That went in overtime, and Chaffee pulled that one out. So congratulations to them. Another Stoddard County team beating the I guess they are. What county are they in up in Chaffee?
They're Scott Miss.
Scott Miss.
Yeah,
okay.
Scott Miss. Yeah.
All right, we had Charlie. Your Carrollsville Tigers went to Jackson, my man. And let's 82-29, my man.
Jackson's a very good team, and that's about it. That's really all I can say. Jackson's a very good team. I mean, when you have a state-ranked Class 6 school against a Class 3 that's still trying to kind of find their footing before district, what's going to happen, especially when it's their senior night as well. It was close for the first 3 minutes of the first quarter. And then Jackson started, being Jackson. They got a 6'8" sophomore. I'm trying to remember his name. He's a 6'8" sophomore, but he can hit a 3, too. He hit a couple threes in that game. And me and Trevion just sat there and went, they got Wimbenyama on the other side. Crothersville mainly they played the JV for the second half. They didn't want to risk any injuries and after the first half. Especially when you're about to get into district time, and we have been hurt a whole lot this year. Don't want to risk getting injuries right before the biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing that all throughout the area, because I know Haytai's been setting some players out due to sickness and injuries, trying to get them well. And just on the girls' side, Kalia Jones hasn't really played much at all the last few games, trying to get her healthy for the district. And I think that's a great approach, to be honest with you, because if you don't win district, your season's over. So you got to approach it like that. A couple other games we've seen: New Madrid County Central beat Malden 65-62. Campbell get on a winning track. They beat East Prairie. And then the Scott City Rams, man, what a day they had. They almost pulled up the upset against Sykeston, guys. We know Sykeston and Jackson is just the two best teams in the area, including all schools. But the Rams did get a win in the week. They beat Cape Central 54-21. But, guys, let's talk a little bit about that Sykeston Scott City game, man. What an exciting game that was.
Yeah, Scott City is a very good team. That's what they showed right there, that they're a very good team, that they can compete with the school of Southeast Missouri right now in Sykeston. I mean, they really impressed me in that one. We were watching it over here before we went to the Bartlett game, and we were just kind of sitting there and we were like, Scott City has a shot against Sykeston. What are we doing? I know it was their first time that the two teams played each other since 2010, I believe. which is
Yes,
also
you are correct.
possibly the craziest stat of the whole game. That they are 30 minutes apart from each other and don't play each other even yearly at this rate. It's kind of a shocker.
Yeah, I think Scott City had won 12 in a row, but I mean, to play this with Sykeston, within 3, I mean, they got to take that as a victory all day long. And Scott City, they were a big mover in my poll, so they're gonna keep rolling on.
Speaking of polls, let's go ahead and get in our individual top 10s. Charlie Duckworth, you want to start off your top 10?
I will start off with my top 10. Let me pull it up on my notes app real quick. Okay, so this is a weird week to be a fan of Southeast Missouri basketball. It was a confusing one. My honorable mentions, I got 4 of them. I got Risco, Charleston, New Madrid, and Hayti. If you told me at the beginning of the year that Hayti would be in my honorable mentions at any point, I'd kind of look at you funny. If you told me at any time of the year that New Madrid would be in my honorable mentions after kind of since Jadis Jones has left, they haven't shown a lot of promise there, I would have also looked at you funny possibly. But I mean, impressive weeks from New Madrid and Charleston getting right back into the fray. Risco suffered a heartbreaker of a loss against Cooter, kind of killed their momentum. And then Hayti, obviously, they lost to Gosnell and Bernie, but they did beat Zenith. A very impressive performance against the Lions. So starting off my top 10, I got South Iron. They've just been South Iron, flat out. They've been able to kind of go under the radar, but still win games in impressive fashions. And then number 9, I got Cooter. They won conference and flat out dominated through the way. They are a very good team. And to see them in Class 1 right now, they're the 2 seed in their district, but they could very well be that 1 seed if they would have just beat Risco earlier this year. Obviously, injuries happen. They didn't get their peak team against them, but it's going to be a good one when they play each other later on, potentially in district. Then number 8, I got Delta. They've just been able to sneak around too. They're the quietest 4-loss team of all time, possibly.
Yes.
Number 7, Woodland. They have just fell down a little bit. I mean, that Charleston loss especially is a rough one. But I mean, when you have a chance to play Puxco next after losing by 22, it could very well get ugly in that one. Who knows? 6, I got Chaffee. The Red Devils just are a very, very, very solid team. It just so happens that they are in the District of Death. And they got the shortest end of the stick. They're the 4 seed. So they very well could go out first round. And I wouldn't even bat an eye at this rate. 5, I got Bernie, who had, besides Charleston and New Madrid, the best week of any team in the area. I mean, to win against Hayti, especially by 22, another state-ranked team, it just shows so much promise for them going into district tournament time. 4, I got Van Buren. They've just also been able to kind of stay the course, really. 3, I got Bunker. The loss to Mountain View just brings them down a little bit. You lose, you kind of do have to go down after being undefeated. 2, I got Scott City. They are an exception to the lose, you got to go down rule because they kind of won that game against Sykeston. Let's be real.
They put up the best fight against Sykeston than any other team has.
Yeah. Then number 1.
Who's that guy?
Who is that guy?
Who is
I'm
that?
I'm not sure who
the
that
masked
guy is.
Man. Is that Rey Mysterio without his mask?
That is Rey Mysterio. Then number 1, I got Puxico. Just flat out, they are the luckiest team right there. They get moved back up into number 1. They won their conference or their second conference in the Ozark Foothills, of course. And it sets up a clash against Woodland coming on Tuesday.
Yeah, Brian Flood, you'll be able to go back and watch this. It's always on our YouTube channel.
Well, we'll move on to mine. I got 2 new entries in my honorable mentions this week as Charleston and New Madrid. Like I say, you can't ignore them with the weeks they've had. Charleston, at 12-9, they won 5 in a row. And like I say, this is going to be the last week, and we'll be ready for district time this time next Sunday. So we'll know. We'll have, I guess, it'll be our final top tens of the year. But got Charleston and New Madrid, and also dropping a couple spots into the top honorable mention will be Chaffee for me. Of course, they did beat Zenith, Saxony, and Zalma. They got a big game coming up, as Mark said, with Delta, Meadow Heights, and Leopold. In my top 10, my big faller will be the Haytime Indians. They lost to Bernie, lost to Gosnell. They're at 14-6, but they got 2. They can surely redeem themselves playing Risco and Delta later on this week. My number 9 team is Cooter. Won the Tri-County Conference tournament. Done a great job. Showed me a whole lot in that tournament. I'm impressed with the Wildcats. They got East Prairie, and then they got that, like you said, Mark, that battle with South Pim coming up. That ought to be a real good one. My number 8 team is Woodland. They beat Meadow Heights and turned around and lost to Charleston by 22. I got them dropping 3 spots. But they got Puxico coming up, so they could get back on the winning streak. I got my number 7 team is Bernie. They raised 1 more spot from where they was last week. They beat 3 Buda Conference teams out, Haytime, Malden, and Campbell. They got a tough one against Delta and Richland and Cape Notre Dame coming up. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. My number 6 team and my high rising team is South Iron. Just a gut feeling with South Iron. I know they only beat Eminence and Lesterville. They had a pretty easy week, and they really don't have much competition coming up this next week in Kingston, Fredericktown, and Festus. But just the history with me and South Iron, I know what they can do. They're well coached, and they do not make mistakes come playoff time. So I'm going to have them right there at that 6th spot. Going into my top 5, up 2 spots from last week. Number 5 is Delta, 19-4. They blowed out East Prairie, Richland, and Marquand Zion. But they got a tough week next week because they got to play Bernie, Chaffee, and Haytime. Probably the toughest week of anybody coming up is Delta, and we'll see what they're made of. My number 4 team is the same as last week, Van Buren. They're still at 20-3, beat Dora and Alton, which is an easy week for them. They don't really have much coming up. They do have Bakersfield, who is a Class 2 District 10 team at 18-6. Yeah. Don't really know how good they are, but that's a heck of a record right there. And then they got old Koshkonong and Seymour, who's a Class 3 team coming up. So that's my number 4 team, Van Buren. My number 3 team is Scott City. They're just impressive to me, only losing to Sykeston by 3. They got Saxony and Jefferson and Twin Rivers coming up. I figure they'll probably win all those 3 pretty handily. My number 2 team is Bunker. They lost to a really, really, really good Mount St. Liberty team. They were 21-2. They lost by 1. Then they turned around and they beat St. Vincent, but it took them overtime to do that. So I had them falling, out of the top spot. They got Farmington, Valley, and Greenville coming up. And then, of course, my number 1 team is Puxico, the Indians. They'll be the front runner in Class 2 District 3. They're going to have their work cut out for them in that district, though. Like I said, as I could see 4 teams coming out of that thing and winning. But it's Puxico's to lose, guys. But they got a tough game against Woodland, and then they're done. They're going to be done for a little while before district starts. So that's my top 10.
All right, let me try to get Danny glasses up here, man, and let me see what I did with that. Well, let me go back here and I'll just read it off to you. No, I just had it somewhere.
Yeah, I thought his was an interesting top 10 as I read it.
Yeah.
I had it marked as well.
His confused me, and that was one of the ones that I opened my eyes. So I was like, I can kind of start freestyling on this.
But he is Big Game Dan, so
that's right.
He knows what he's talking about. But it's a little different.
He was there in Hockham on Thursday. Me and him had a great conversation walking out.
Yeah, see, he's got Delta Bobcats at 10, Chaffee Red Devils at 9, Cooter at 8, South Iron at 7, Hayti at 6, Bunker at 5, so he dropped Bunker all the way down to 5, Van Buren at 4, Woodland at 3, Scott City at 2, and then Puxico at 1. He was pretty impressed with Scott City, just like the rest of us were.
Yeah.
And that is his top 10, but he got some notes here. Let me pull them up on my phone so I can go over that and see what he said a little better, so I can make it a little bigger on the old phone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday. Go ahead, Charlie.
It was interesting to see how much he punished Bunker for losing to Mountain View.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he's seen it in person, so maybe.
I'll trust him. I'll trust him.
Oh yeah.
Saturday he was in Charleston at the 6-man shootout. He loved the Woodland and Van Buren game. Of course, that was a heck of a shootout. Monday, he was in Bunker for the game we're just talking about, Liberty Mountain View, and Hands undefeated Bunker, his first loss. Tuesday, he was at Hockham at the Tri-County Conference Tournament we talked about. And then Wednesday, he went and showed the North Pembroke Little League basketball, I guess, league they have there at Wardale. He went and seen them, man, and showed them some love. So good job there by Danny. And then, of course, Thursday, back over to Tri-County. And then Friday, he was at Marble Hill, watched Woodland and Charleston. And he told me that he felt like Charleston's speed was just way too much for Woodland. And Woodland just could not stop Charleston from going to the baskets, what it was. All right, now we'll talk about my personal top 10. Honorable mentions, I got New Madrid County Central, 9-13. You got to talk about wins over Cooter, Bernie, Caruthersville, and Malden. So a great week for New Madrid. Their body of work earlier in the season wasn't so good, but now they're playing basketball right when they need to be. So on the verge of cracking the last top 10 poll that'll come out next week. And by the way, next week will be our district special. We'll talk about all the district brackets. We'll get into a little bit of it tonight, but we won't get in depth like we will next week. Honorable mention, South Pembroke, they're 12-5 on the year. Look for them to make a little noise in that Class 2 District 1. Risco, we'll get to see Risco Tuesday night on the Bootheel Sports Network as they come in to take on Hayti. They're 17-7, second place in the conference tournament. And then Charleston, 12-9. They went 4-0 for the week, guys. They beat Hazelwood Central, Leopold, South Pem, and Woodland. So a great week for the Blue Jays as well. And then Hayti, 14-6. Lost 2 games and then beat St. Antoinesville. So that is the honorable mention. Number 10, I got the Bernie Mules at 16-7. Like Chris said, they went 3-1 on the week, but they got a tough week coming up with Delta, Richland, and Cape Notre Dame. Cooter 19-4, Tri-County Conference Tournament champs there. Got East Prairie and Steele. South Pembroke coming up in a rivalry game. Should be an interesting game. That's Friday night, and that is at Cooter. So never know about that one. My number 8 team, I got South Iron. They're 19-4. They have now won 6 in a row. And I look for a 1 versus 2 matchup, which to give us Van Buren and South Iron in that district, man. That'll be a great one. Number 7, I got the Delta Bobcats at 19-4. They went 3-0 on the week. They got a big week with Bernie, Chaffee, and Hayti coming up. And then speaking of Chaffee, they're my number 6 team at 18-5. They went 3-0 for the week. Great week for the Red Devils as well. And then Van Buren, I got them at 5 at 20-3. They won the Big Spring Conference Tournament. They did lose to Woodland in the shootout, but they beat Dora and Alton as well. Number 14, Woodland, 21-3. I think we've already talked about them enough. Bunker, I moved down to number 3, 22-1, only because I was so impressed with Scott City's game against Sykeston. I got them at 2 at 19-4. And of course, Puxico, 17 in a row now. They won. They beat Clearwater in the Clearwater in the opening round of the Ozark Foothills Conference, 98-29. Beat East Carter 81-61, and then won the championship game out for a very pesky Greenville Bear team, 51-45. So a close game there, and they got Woodland coming up on Tuesday night. So interesting matchups there, guys. All right, Charlie, going to give you a drum roll here. Let me get my media assets ready and find it, and we'll reveal that new top 10. There it is.
Here we go.
Wow.
Okay, so we got Hayti
Hayti
is the biggest faller. They go down to 10. They go to 10.
You got Hayti
at
10 spot.
9.
Boy, that's crazy.
Yeah, Bernie at 8. Delta at 7. Chaffee at 6. I'm sure there's going to be some great discussion about that. South Iron at 5. Van Buren at 4. Bunker at 3. They fall down to 3. Scott City at 2. And then Puxico. Guess who's back? Back again. The tribe's back. You tell a friend about that because Pucks goes back right into that number 1 spot, sliding back in after the Bunker falls to Liberty Mountain View.
Man, that's interesting, guys. That goes to show you how loaded of talent we are, man. Hayti has a 10 team in the area, man. That's just crazy in my book.
Yeah, I mean, Hayti at 10. I mean, yeah, they had to fall some, but I don't count any of these teams out, man. They can turn it on. And what's impressive about this list to me, we're talking about Puxico in their district. 4 teams could win that district, and you wonder who comes out of that district. They probably going to be a favorite to
win it all.
To go on to the end. So, man, great top 10.
Yeah, no doubt about that one. Interesting. All right, that is our top 10. Charlie, I think you got some district brackets that came out this week. We'll kind of just touch base on them. And where you want to start at, big guy?
Well, let's see what I have to start with here. Okay, so let's start off with Class 2 District 1 girls because I made Class 1 District 1 boys, Class 2 District 1 boys, Class 2 District 3 boys, and Class 2 District 1 girls. These are a little rushed. I kind of thought about it at 4:45, so I kind of started doing it then. So don't hate them. That's all to say. So this is going to be Class 2 District 1 girls here. So the 1 seed is Porterville. The 2 seed is Campbell. The 3 seed is Hockham. 4 seed Hayti. 5 seed Zenith. 6 seed South Pim. But Hockham gets an automatic bye into into playing Campbell because it's a forfeit win against South Pim.
Yeah, athletic director reached out to me on Saturday. They didn't really have 5 or 6 girls, I think,
right,
in the conference tournament. So, man, I hate to see that, but I get it when you only got but 5 or 6 players. Man, I hate it. That's the second team that's voted this year in the girls' area for us, man.
Yeah, but it does set up a rematch between Hockham and Campbell from the Bootheel Conference. And I gotta believe that Campbell's gonna be a little sour grapes about how the last one went. You gotta think they will be.
That Gabby Townsend and Ava Gurley matchup, and then Hardcastle. Man, that's gonna be a good game.
Yeah. I wear this P on my chest proudly. But I just don't see my girls, Lady Dogs, having any trouble. I mean, this is probably anything can happen, guys. Let me preface what I'm going to say by saying that. But this has probably got to be the easiest road to a district championship, boys or girls, out there. Now, I know that Hayti is going to have a lot to say, or Zenith, because they got some, there's Aubrey Hall, Jamerson from Zenith, like you said, Gurley. They're all going to be shooting to try to make it past Portageville, as they're probably going to have to face them. But, it's only going to be one game at opening night. But I like where my Lady Dogs are in this one.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get in depth about all this.
Yeah.
Then next up, I have Class 1, District 1 boys. That came out while we were doing the Tri-County Conference, which is kind of funny. But we had the 1 seed, the Risco Tigers. If they would have waited one day to do the meeting for seeding, it probably would have been a little bit different. 2 seed, Cooter Wildcats, 3 seed Clarkton Reindeer, 4 seed the Southland Rebels, 5 seed the Delta C7, 6 seed Gideon, and 7 seed North Pim. And I mean, looking at it from the immediate start, it's probably a Cooter Risco rematch. But I mean, there is some talent down there. I mean, Delta is the 5 seed. Who knows what can happen with them? And then Clarkton as well as a 3 seed. Could be some magic in store there.
Could be.
Yeah.
Then next up, I have Class 2 District 1 boys. That came out during the Gosnell-Hayti game. So Hayti is the 1 seed. Zenith is the 2. South Pim is the 3. Campbell is the 4. Neelyville is the 5. Naylor is the 6. And 7 is Hockham. And for Neelyville, it's a very familiar spot for them. They were the 5 seed last year when they made the district finals in Class 2 District 1.
You can have a rematch in the semifinals from last year.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting district because you look at it and you really do want to say, yeah, this is probably Hayti's to lose, but anything can happen really in this one. I mean, South Pim, them and Hayti had a very, very close game earlier this year in Steel. Who knows what happens there? Zenith, they've already lost twice to Hayti. Can they get some revenge finally on the Indians? And then Neelyville, too. I mean, they're Cinderella from last year. Who knows what happens this year with them?
Yeah, and it's kind of like a complete opposite of the Class 2 District 1 girls bracket is, personally, I see 3 teams that could win this thing, Hayti, South Pim, or Zenith. But you never know. Like you say, you got to play the games.
That's right.
And then finally, I have the District of Death. Class 2, District 3. We got 1-seeded Puxico, 2-seeded Bernie, 3-seeded Charleston, 4-seeded Chaffee, 5-seeded Advance, 6-seed Oran, 7-seed Bloomfield. I mean, looking at it, you look at that top 4, and it's kind of like the Bootheel Conference where you look at that top 4 and you say, well, Puxico, like Hayti, definitely the favorite to win. But the top 4 can still win. The other ones can.
Yeah, and look out for whoever wins this tournament because, they'll immediately face the Class 2 District 4 team. Not sure who that would be, but, man, talk about iron sharpens iron, guys. This right here is the true definition of that, this bracket.
Yeah, where's this tournament being held at?
It's held at Bloomfield. Yeah,
Bloomfield.
But,
Charlie's favorite gym.
When you see any tournament that involves Bloomfield, which gym do you think it's going to be at?
Yeah,
that's
second home too.
Puxico, I was going to say Puxico be playing at home.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
they're going to be out.
The winner of Class 2 District 3 would play St. Vincent potentially. They are the 1 seed in Class 2 District 4. But there's also Valley Catholic and Valley with a Y. They played Puxico last year. They won District 4 last year.
Yeah. We seen Valley with the Y play earlier. They played Hayti earlier in the year at Mineral Area.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good game. Hayti won that one. Any more district brackets, Charlie?
That's all I got for me. Like I said, it was on a whim.
Yeah. And I'm glad you did that. But next week we're really going to get in depth. We're going to have our district tournament special on Sunday night, shooting hoops in the boot. And we'll talk about the week that was. And we'll get ready for our final regular season top 10. And then hopefully somebody in our area gets back to Columbia, Missouri and wins a state title for us here in Southeast Missouri. All right, games for the week, guys. We got a few games on the network this week. Charlie, I have Cairo and Carruthersville on Tuesday. I'll have Risco and Hayti, and then Delta and Hayti on Thursday. So those are our games this week on the Bootheel Sports Network. Charlie, closing thoughts.
Go Tigers, first of all. It's been a rough season, but to end it off Tuesday at home against Cairo on a senior night, homecoming night, it's going to be a cavalcade of things that night to celebrate. So it's going to be a good one. And then, you guys are going to see me all in a dress shirt and some slacks finally, not shorts for the first time ever. On Friday.
All right, Chris, closing thoughts.
of course, once again, thank you to Holcomb and the staff for making us feel so welcome there, and really enjoyed that experience. Also, talking about Portersville Lady Bulldogs, they play at Kelly on Tuesday, then they play at home against Poplar Bluff on Wednesday. But next Friday, guys, they got a game at Kennett, who Kennett Lady Indians are sitting at 17-3. They beat Portersville earlier in the year, so Portersville Lady Dogs looking to have a little bit of revenge right before their districts. And really, that's all I got. I'm just ready for this week to get rolling and see where we are come on Shooting Hoops in the Boot come next Sunday.
Yeah, we'll be having that district championship special next Sunday night at 6:00. So don't forget to join us, man. We'll get in depth on every bracket there that Charlie has for us, and maybe even a little bit more. And I got to give a shout out to Aubrey Hall, man. 32 points in the loss against Gosnell. Props to her and what a year she's having. And I know we'll talk more about her as they get ready for that district title game, man. All right, guys. That's all I got. We appreciate each and every one of you joining us here on the Bootheel Sports Network. It's Mark Manley, Charlie Duckworth, and Chris Brown saying so long for Shooting Hoops in the Boot.